Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. 5 Puu. 81. Hero Garp open black lens bracket 1 more subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The golden wheel turned and exploded. God. Roar. The ice layer disintegrated, the ice spear, frozen, and instantly collapsed. Anything blocking the front instantly turned into powder, even space, couldn't withstand the terrifying ultimate energy attack for an instant, and cracks visible to the naked eye appeared. Hurry up, it's almost time for ultimate. Bright, shine to ultimate. The core of the entire battlefield is here. At this moment, everyone's eyes were attracted, and then they turned their heads suddenly. Dazzling, in that terrifying golden lightsaber, I couldn't open my eyes at all. This moment, Akainu and Aokiji only feel that the whole person has fallen into the ice cellar. The hairs all over his body stood on end in an instant, an unprecedented crisis. The breath of death rushed towards his face, like the turbulent waves of hundreds of feet in the sea, causing despair to rise in his heart. Elementalize. It's useless, the crisis has not been touched at all, and the sense of crisis of death has not been reduced at all. No, no, no. Meteor volcano. With a roar soaring into the sky, Akainu unhesitatingly displayed the strongest move, the move of lowering the box, and the two fists used lava to produce a large number of huge lava fists. Under the oppression of death, Akainu's speed at this time was comparable to that of tens of thousands of revolutions. The engine, like the magma of the Belied shower, is constantly bombarded in front of the body. In normal times, a small island can be instantly turned into a sea of lava. But now, it is used for defense. Advertisement. But the danger of that kind of death has not been reduced at all. Akainu's usually serious face showed panic and despair. Nobody wants to die. Nobody. Ice Age. At the same time, Aokiji also performed his nirvana. At this time, don't neglect, in the blink of an eye, you may die. Terrible cold air instantly filled the whole body tens of meters. At this moment, Akainu's meteor volcano, the ultra-high temperature surface instantly turned into the strongest defense, although the duration was very short. But this moment is what Aokiji needs. Unfortunately. The golden lightsaber instantly sliced through all the diamond-like defenses in front of him, without hindrance. It's like cutting tofu with a sword. No, it's easier than that. Despair. Complete despair. In an instant, the lightsaber was in front of him. Call. Pipey. Crash. The marine warship standing in front of them instantly split into two halves and fell directly into the sea. Advertisement. As for the unlucky marine above, it was directly divided into two and turned into two half corpses, and the dead couldn't die anymore. The terrible power does not end there. How could Tenseigion's golden wheel turn burst be so weak? This is comparable. In the eyes of everyone, the entire sea was instantly split into two halves. That's right, two halves. The golden lightsaber extends infinitely, with no limit visible. The sea of tens of meters, hundreds of meters, thousands of meters, tens of thousands of meters seems to be cut open in an instant. Bottomless depths. Those unlucky sea kings who are hiding in nearly a kilometer, nearly 10,000 meters, are right under the golden lightsaber. It was cut directly in an instant, and the cutting was smooth as before, and the flat ones could not be flatter. This terrifying scene lasted for about 10 seconds. It seems that there is an invisible energy that prevents the sea from healing, and the spectacular scene makes all the fighters stand on the spot, dumbfounded. 10 seconds later, everyone watched the sea slowly heal, and that invisible power was slowly disappearing. Shock. Silent shock. Can this be caused by humans? The whole scene was silent. It seems that this is not a battlefield, but a silent meeting room. Advertisement. The blue giant disappeared slowly, revealing a stern DE. There is no damage at all, and there is not even a single wrinkle on the body. Holding the Qinglong Yanyu knife in his hand, he is stationed on the ground. There was no complacent look on his face, on the contrary, there was a chill in his eyes and he looked forward. I don't know when, the body of a Taoist priest appeared there. Tall, dark, muscular supporting Marine Vice Admiral's coat, with the power of an explosion, as if there is only this figure in the whole world, like a sharp sword out of its sheath. Such conspicuousness, attention. In his hands are 383 two figures, Akainu and Aokiji. At the last moment of the two, a figure rushed in at an unbelievable speed, flashed past, and pulled the two of them back from the gate of hell. Boom, boom. Akainu and Aokiji were thrown away, sweating profusely and panting heavily. For the rest of their lives after the catastrophe, the two of them had no strength in their bodies. In that case, they definitely don't want to do it again. The sturdy figure slowly turned around. None other than the marine hero, Monkey D. Garp. He has a great reputation in naval headquarters, even the Marine Marshal still treats each other with courtesy. Marine Admiral is just his junior. Although he is only a Marine Vice Admiral, his prestige in the Marine is second only to the Marine Marshal. It is also One Piece, the grandfather of the protagonist of this anime, a man with a big nerve who likes to eat donuts, but he is absolutely unambiguous in terms of big events. Extremely emotional, but insists on the existence of inner justice. 82. Garp who regrets open black lens bracket seeking automatic subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 82. Regret Garp. It is one of the few Marines that DE can take a fancy to. It is also an existence that makes DE afraid. This Marine has the strength that makes everyone afraid. Unexpectedly, this time, not only the three admirals came, but he also came. Garp. DE said in a deep voice with eyes as cold as blades and a serious expression. DE. Monkey D. Garp turned around, without the usual nervousness on his face. He was extremely serious, and said in the same deep voice as Kaido. The serious Garp is not as unreliable as usual, exuding an air of awe for the weak. The current Marine 3 Admiral can't compare to this kind of boldness. Turning around gently, the big piercing eyes flashed with a frightening light. Garp looked at the handsome young man in front of him. He has been paying attention to DE since he became the king of Nine Snake Island. The geographical location of Nine Snake Island itself is very special, not to mention that all the people practice hockey, such a fighting clan, even the world government must pay attention to it, not to mention that Nine Snake Island is still in the Calm Belt, and the geographical advantage here is even more obvious. Advertisement. It's just that Marine has been unable to find a way to enter Calm Belt in large quantities, and those Sea Kings are indeed a great way. But recently, Dr. Vegapunk, a super scientist in the world government who has surpassed human intelligence for 500 years, has finally developed a method to use the power in the Seastone to allow the Marine warship to penetrate the Calm Belt. That's why there is today's buster call against Nine Snake Island, the largest buster call in history. It's really that DE grew up too fast, faster than they imagined, and made a sensation without doing anything. When he first appeared, he went against the law, intercepted the heavenly gold of the celestial dragons, and defeated Akainu. Later, he subdued the well-known swordsman Hawkeye, fought against Shanks, killed Golden Lion, Sabayati Archipelago killed celestial dragons with a high profile, and forcibly crushed the two Logia fruits at that time, Marine Vice Admiral, which is now Marine Admiral and other Lotus. There is even intelligence that on the day of the Sabayati Archipelago, this DE also fought against Pluton Rayleigh, the right-hand man of One Piece Roger, and ended in a draw. Obviously too young, but already has such achievements, which makes people amazed and shocked. I thought it disappeared for a long time, maybe something went wrong, but at this moment, Marine attacked Nine Snakes Island. But he found out that not only did DE appear, but also the three admirals were completely crushed. Over the years, the three admirals developed the Logia fruit, which has become increasingly mature and terrifying. It is known as the strongest among devil fruits, and it itself has acquired uniqueness the advantages. But facing DE, who was like a monster, now he was paralyzed on the ground like a pile of dead dogs. There are also two terrifying subordinates who don't know where they came from. Black Rose, a fearsome swordsman with various charms, suppressed Kizaru in Sabayati Archipelago a year ago, and is said to have an unclear and ambiguous relationship with DE. Advertisement. A Logia Thunder Fruit capable person. This devil fruit is what Marine has been looking for. It is the strongest devil fruit in the devil fruit illustration. By the way, there is also an island with the women of hockey. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It was Garp, who felt extremely palpitating at the moment just now. BJDB. The golden lightsaber soaring into the sky, the blue giant tens of meters high, and the terrifying black flame. Scenes are imprinted in his heart, lingering. Has it grown to this point? Garp is also a little unbelievable. It has only been a year since he saw his grandson last time. Immediately after that year, DE disappeared from sight, and his prestige also disappeared. Coupled with constant gossip and special geographical location, there are no other pirates coming to make trouble. Marine has the advantage of entering and exiting Calm Belt, and even wants to take advantage of this important strategic location of Nine Snake Island. This made Marine see a glimmer of hope. If DE can be successfully eliminated this time, not only will Marine's prestige reach its peak, but it will also remove a serious problem in his heart, which can be regarded as an explanation for celestial dragons and the world government. So the buster call was directly implemented, and 3 admirals, 12 Marine vice admirals, and tens of thousands of Marine elites were dispatched. Advertisement. As for the rumor that DE was captured by Marine, only they know FKU. However, they just want to make this rumor a reality. Unfortunately, everything is not as smooth as they imagined. When we meet again, DE is no longer the one who secretly hides from him. Even, at this moment, Garp couldn't help feeling a little regret. If he took action to keep DE in Windmill Town at that time, wouldn't Marine have such a terrible enemy now? At that time, D.E. Garp still had the confidence to stay, but now. The golden lightsaber, the sea that was split open, and above the top of the clouds, 100,000 miles of white clouds were cut to form a road leading to the sky. At this time, it is not like sea water, and it is still unable to heal, which heralds everything that happened just now. The atmosphere was heavy, and everyone felt the eerie silence. It seemed that there was an invisible sense of oppression in the air, which made them dare not say a word. But at this moment, by the way, Vice Admiral Garp, does Luffy still want to be a pirate now? D.Ye's teasing voice suddenly sounded. Advertisement. 83. D gives Garp open black lens bracket third watch for subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. D.E. looked at Garp with a flickering expression, and vaguely guessed Garp's thoughts in his heart, and couldn't help but feel bad, so he couldn't help but speak out. You know, the original protagonist Monkey D. Luffy's dream of becoming a pirate is definitely Garp's biggest heart disease. My son is the leader of the Revolutionary Army, which is already a family misfortune. If my grandson becomes a pirate again, it will be a family misfortune. When D.E. said it right now, she definitely slapped her in the face. When Shanks left, D.E. knew that Monkey D. Luffy would definitely be spoiled like the original book. The onlookers were stunned. Isn't it tense? Why do you suddenly say, 623, to another person? Who is Luffy? Everyone looked blank, including Marine. Does this person have a lot to do with the current Buster Call? Many people have already guessed in their hearts who this Luffy is. And at this time, Monkey D. Garp's complexion changed from the original dignified to black in an instant, which was terrifyingly dark. Seeing the smirk on D.E.'s mouth, a nameless anger erupted from the bottom of his heart and rushed to his chest, as if it was about to erupt from his chest at any time. Unlucky family. How much he loves his grandson. Throwing him into the abyss from a young age, exiling him in the rainforest at night, tying him to a balloon, flying him into the sky, and constantly spurring him with a loving iron fist, all in order to make you the strongest Marine. Advertisement. D. Especially before he came here, he even met his grandson. Luffy. Grandpa, I have something to tell you. Garp. What? Luffy. I've made up my mind, I'm not going to be a pirate anymore. Garp. Oh, really, you finally figured it out. You are indeed my grandson. Luffy. I'm not going to be an ordinary pirate, I want to be the king of pirates. The picture of ghosts and animals is automatically generated in the mind, not only to be a pirate, but also to be the king of the pirates. Kakaka. There was a creaking sound from the sandbag-sized front hair, and blue veins popped out. Bastard D.E., how dare you say that it's all your fault and Shanks's, this old man will give you a taste of the iron fist of love today. Garp exploded violently, bursting out with energy, distorting the air. Kaka. The ground under the feet instantly cracked, covered with cracks, and flew in all directions. Whoosh. Garp's strong figure disappeared instantly, and reappeared above D.E.'s head, as if teleporting. The Marine military uniform, which was already extremely roomy, now swelled up because of anger. The sound of piercing through the air, like all birds, is piercing and sharp. Advertisement. Clang. At that moment, the right fist was instantly covered with a layer of armament hockey, heading towards the top of D.E.'s head with terrifying force. Move like thunder. Quick. So fast. The pupils of Black Rose and Enel, who had been vigilant all the time, instantly condensed into needle-like shapes, and their faces changed drastically. How is this speed possible? Can't react at all. D.E.'s figure sank suddenly, his whole body tensed up. He didn't expect Garp to react so strongly. It seems that he still underestimated the knot in Luffy's heart. But when he heard Garp's roar, he couldn't help but twitch. It's none of his business. It's Shanks' fault, and he won't take it. But Garp's strength is indeed terrifying. This terrifying speed is even faster than Kizaru's beam. Is this the body simplified to the ultimate speed? I don't know whether Garp ate devil fruit or not. Garp takes too few shots, and there are too few people who can force him to make moves. I didn't see that last time in Windmill Town, Shanks was beaten by Garp on his horse, and he couldn't fight back. When the iron fist of love was just a hair away from hitting the top of his head, the terrifying strength of the fist was engraved on D.E.'s body like a knife. Kamui. With a low growl, Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan spun wildly, and D.E.'s body also became nothingness. Advertisement. The iron fist of love the size of a sandbag directly penetrated D.E.'s body and hit the ground. Boom. The ground with a radius of tens of meters suddenly sank 4 or 5 meters as if hit by a bomb head-on. In an instant, dust filled the air and smoke billowed. Hiss. Some people couldn't help gasping. What kind of scene would it be if he bombarded people? Enel's facial expression twitched wildly. This year, D.E. has let him exercise his body crazily. With the advanced version of Thunder Fruit, Thunder of Heaven's Punishment, he can constantly cleanse his body. But now, Seeing this scene, he felt a chill in his heart. Damn, this old man was lucky because of a few cards. Gulu Gulu swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva severely. Enel feels that this old man is not at the same level as the Marine Admiral he just played so much. No wonder the boss said before, simplify the complexity. His seemingly gorgeous moves are useless when they are really told. He didn't understand it before, but now he understands it. Master. Rose muttered to herself. Her ruby-like eyes were full of worry, and her slender right hand was tightly holding the 7-star sword, ready to attack at any time. Advertisement. 84. Humanoid monster open black lens bracket 1 more subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Now she is slim and tall, and gradually has a unique figure in the future. Boa Hancock, who has bumps and bumps, also reveals a deep worry in her beautiful eyes. White. The tender little hands pinch the corner of his clothes, tooth light. Bite red. Lip. Beside Black Rose, a body smaller than Hancock is Kuina, who has been on Nine Snake Island for more than a year. Her delicate face is full of determination. Wearing a black exercise suit, holding the word, harmony, given to her by his father, like the Black Rose, she put on a posture ready to attack at any time. At the same time, there was a deep shock in his eyes. At that moment just now, the golden lightsaber that split the sky and the earth was like a ray of light in the dark night, allowing her to re-understand what power is. The air twisted and trembled. Seeing this scene, Garp couldn't help being taken aback. In fact, he knew that Di had this trick, and it was just the first time he saw it. My Iron Fist of Love is added with Haki. Even if it is the elementalization of the Logia fruit ability user, the hit will definitely fly. As for Di's move, even Haki can't do it. And when you punch down, there is no obstruction, just like hitting the air. It's really evil. Garp couldn't help muttering secretly. Anyway, he had never encountered such a state. The figure that had just landed suddenly kicked again. Kaka. Advertisement. The ground trembled again, and Garp's figure disappeared like a shell again, and reappeared in front of Di. Clenched his right fist tightly, pulled it back, poofed, and the bulging muscles directly burst the sleeve. Call. Garp took a deep breath, his eyes were frighteningly bright. That huge boxing edge seemed to condense an invisible strong wind, which was extremely terrifying. Di, who was standing there, did not move, squinting and smiling at Garp in front of him, doing all this. Hiss. The fist struck out violently, aiming directly at Di's face. Di's smiling face couldn't help twitching. This old bastard really didn't have any intention of respecting the other party, although he couldn't hit him. But beating people without slapping people in the face, this basic principle is still necessary. Fortunately, he specifically aimed at the face wolf. Sharp, powerful, terrifying power. The fist that strikes like electricity cuts through the void and creates circles of ripples, which is the power that can only be formed when the power is condensed to a terrifying level. Unfortunately, the current Di and Garp do not exist in the same space. It seems that there is no difference, but it is in a different space. At this time, Di's figure is just like Kyoka Suigetsu. No matter how you hit it, you can't hit it. Boom. Advertisement. The already shattered ground suffered even greater bombing again. The terrifying force instantly extended hundreds of meters through the ground, and the entire island was shaking. This time, the ground abruptly dropped another 5 meters. The concept of these 5 meters is completely different from the previous 5 meters. The power of this punch is definitely more than just a little bit. Sure enough, it still can't be defeated. Garp withdrew his fist and shook it. How can this be played? Is it simply cheating? Kong has a lot of strength, but people don't confront you, which makes Garp very unhappy. Garp didn't see it when he passed through Di's phantom again. Di's complexion changed slightly, but it returned to normal in an instant, so no one else noticed. After all, Garp's 2 punches filled the air with dust and gravel splashed. They were all startled by Garp's terrifying 2 punches. Who would pay attention to Di's slightly changed expression? Di's figure changed, returning directly from nothingness. The smile on his face has not changed, but his heart is not as calm as his expression. Because Garp's second punch just now actually affected him. Although small, it did affect him. When the power reaches a certain level, it can really affect the different space. The terrifying ripples of power are already very small when they reach the body, and they can be easily extinguished. But it's not the same space after all. Just like Whitebeard in the top battle, the 2 fists hit the space directly, and the space bears cracks of varying degrees. Advertisement. Sure enough, Kamui is not invincible. This kind of power has been condensed to a certain extent, and it has already involved the power of space. Looking at Garp's strong body below, Di sighed deeply in his heart. It is worthy of being one of the world's top combat powers, and it should not be underestimated. Single quote. You kid, are you finally willing to come out? Fighting should be fist to body, and it's too boring for you to fight like that. Garp could tell at a glance that Di was different, and he complained by the way. Di's handsome face twitched slightly. Fist to the flesh, the body must be able to catch up, although it is a demi-human body, so it cannot die, but it does not mean that Di wants to die. The whole cards should never be well exposed, just like Kamui was slightly affected just now, which is not a good sign. Discovered by interested people, the original advantages even become disadvantages to be used. This world is completely different from the Hokage world, with natural physical fitness and a different power system. The body can reach this monster level. Even the Emperor guy is hard to match. Of course, this comparison is one-sided. After all, there are two planes. In the pirate world, there are giants, small humans, and a sea of stars, money, which contains so many Sea King's monsters, which are much bigger than tailed beasts. You can imagine how minerals are in this world. Richness. The minerals absorbed by human eating meat also improve their physique, allowing them to go higher and farther on this road. As for the Hokage world, it's much worse. For some reason, a thought rose in Di's mind. If the 8 inner gates let Garp learn, it would be a lot of money. I couldn't help but shuddered all over. If Garp, who has trained his body to ultimate, learns 8 inner gates, it is estimated that Madara, who has turned on the 6 paths mode, will also be beaten and called dad on the ground. After all, it is too cruel. P.S. Start to restore the update. Please support a wave. Your support is my biggest code word motivation. Flowers, evaluation tickets, monthly tickets rewards. Advertisement. 85. Combat escalation open black lens bracket second update for subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Cut. A guy who knows brute force. Di complained without losing face. Boom. Monkey D. Garp didn't say anything, and his figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. Di's pupils constricted, and Tenseigion's ability was activated instantly. Gravitational. Repulsion. Hum. An invisible force rippled in the air, and 2 opposite forces were sent out one after another, causing wrinkles to appear in the space. A marine warship not far away suddenly moved. He appeared and approached Di abruptly, but in an instant, a stronger force sent the marine warship flying backwards. The 2 powerful forces collided, directly causing the marine warship to shatter. The deck cracked directly, the keel couldn't bear the 2 forces, and broke from the middle, making an overwhelmed sound. What's the situation? What's going on? The warship was full of panicked voices, and each marine soldier fell on the ship, each one in a panic. Advertisement. The disappearing figure of Garp also appeared in front of him immediately. The figure was a bit unnatural, but it soon stabilized. Boom. Boom. Keep pounding the air with your feet and stabilize your form in the air with the moonwalk from Marine 6 styles. His eyes were filled with surprise and he asked, there were 2 forces just now, right? Suction and repulsion. Di was ashamed. This muscular monster, with its strong gravitational force and sudden explosion, only allowed Garp to show up instead of being bounced away. Not a single warship was directly destroyed. Cut. Call. Di slammed his legs on the ground, and afterimages appeared in the air, and the moment he appeared in front of Garp, he shouted directly, 100 times the gravity. Boom. Garp, who was still sighing, suddenly felt his body sinking suddenly, and fell directly from the air to the ground. He stepped on the moonwalk quickly under his feet, but the power consumed increased by an unknown amount. With a bang, the whole person hit the ground, his legs sank directly into the ground, and the ground made a crackling sound. Crash. Pulling his foot out of it, Garp hopped lightly and curiously twice. Immediately, clear footprints appeared on the ground, and the surprised expression on Garp's face became more and more intense. Advertisement. Immediately, his eyes lit up, he looked up at Di, and said in surprise, gravity. What a great thing. Boy, can you add more? This kind of strength is definitely a good thing for exercising your body. Di's feet were soft, and his head was covered with black lines. But I also sighed in my heart. Garp was definitely a cultivator when he was young, felt this kind of power, and instantly understood the strongest auxiliary effect of gravity. You must know that this gravity acts on the whole body, not only useful to the body, but also to the internal organs in the body. A lot of exercise can only affect the skin and flesh, but it is very difficult to exercise the internal organs. Garp, who is a master of physical skills, has studied this way deeply, and of course understands the importance of this invisible force. With a sharp flash in his eyes, he shouted in a low voice. 200 times the gravity. Garp sank again, below his knees, directly below the ground. At this time, Garp was even more delighted, as if he had got a fresh toy. Perfect Susanoo. Di's eternal Mangekyo Sharingan spun rapidly, and the essence chakra erupted like a mountain, forming a blue giant that surrounded De with a height of tens of meters. De's figure appeared between the eyebrows of the blue giant, like a god overlooking the earth, overlooking the warship and the marine on the shore. ... Ask for flowers. The oppressive atmosphere erupted like a mountain. Advertisement. Everyone present felt a sudden sinking in their hearts, and the weak marine couldn't help but kneel on the ground with a plop. In the rear, many Jasnake Islanders have already come out of the secret cave. Because Hancock was overly worried that they would come out of the secret cave, the mother-in-law also knew that if De were to lose, Nine Snake Island would definitely not escape Marine's hands, and she didn't stop them too much. When they were god-like blue giants, they all knelt on the ground and shouted. 0. Long live the king! Long live the king! Long live the king! Granny Yi also appeared from behind. With deep worries on her wrinkled face, she knew that if she could force De out like this, she must have encountered an extremely powerful enemy, but she still had hope in her heart. From the fact that De intercepted the gold from the sky, and later caused major incidents, even killing celestial dragons, that Emperor's spirit, she knew that De was really the greatest foundation of the world of Nine Snake Island King's Landing. And in the past year or so, the development of Nine Snake Island has exceeded her imagination. Marine 6 Styles, hockey's comprehension is progressing faster and stronger than ever. Nine Snake Island used to have a very disadvantage. Although all people can fight and understand hockey, the quality of hockey has always been low. After all, there are high and low hockey. But today's Snake Island is slowly changing this state. Not only is the understanding of the islanders erupting as if the faucet was turned on in an instant, but high-quality hockey is constantly being born. Closer than ever before. Although the mother-in-law didn't know what was going on, she knew in her heart that all of this had to do with De. Advertisement. 86. Mutual solicitation, just revised. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Garp's expression also became extremely dignified, looking up at the blue giant tens of meters high. The soaring materialized energy fluctuations made him have to be serious. De looked down at Garp with her expressionless eyes. Coldly shouted. Arm. Hum. In an instant, endless black flames erupted from De's body, covering the surface of the blue giant in an instant, turning into a black and white line in an instant. The Qinglong Yanyu knife in his hand was instantly covered with a layer of terrifying black flames. At this moment, the terrifying temperature of the surrounding air rose infinitely, the air twisted uncontrollably, and the ground melted. The armed forces at this time are stronger and more mature than when they killed the Golden Lion before. Tang tang tang. Marine's face was filled with horror, and he backed away desperately. Black Rose and Kuina, Hawkeye, they are all on their hind legs involuntarily, with a thick color of horror in their 19 pupils. Advertisement. Kizaru's figure flashed and turned into a ray of light, holding Aokiji and Akainu in both hands, and retreated desperately. The eyes are full of horror. Isn't this the terrifying flame that can devour everything? In an instant, only De and Garp were left with a serious face in a radius of several hundred meters. Is this the black flame? Garp narrowed his eyes, looking at the black flame on De's body that could distort the air. With a trace of fear, he knew that this was De's whole card, and the arm of the former Marine Admiral Zephyr was burned off by this flame. The horrific lava of this flame Akainu can be vaporized. Standing here, you can feel the terrifying temperature. In fact, Marine has never figured out what devil fruit De eats, one after another ability, and there is no connection among them, they can't figure it out. This is also never documented in Marine. Call. Take a deep breath. I saw that under the terrifying temperature, the air just exhaled instantly turned into nothingness. Garp suddenly said. De, join the Marine. I promise to give you an admiral level status, and even become a marshal to lead the Marine in the future. Advertisement. Hearing this, De was also taken aback, and his heart flickered. Becoming a Marine Admiral, he would have the confidence to become a Marine Admiral and control the Marine, which would be very beneficial to his plans for this year. But this trace of heartbeat was quickly nirvana by him. This boldness, the shot as Marine Admiral. If it was someone else, he still wouldn't believe it, but what Garp said, he fully believed it. Although Garp is at the Marine Vice Admiral level, his status is unquestionable in the Marine. In this world, only this Marine Vice Admiral has such confidence. But does he, De, need alms from others? Golden Lion also said similar words, didn't he just die by himself? He De is destined to become a pinnacle existence, he does not need others' charity, nor does he need to condescend to others, what he wants, he will take it by himself step by step. With a chic smile, he shook his head. First won't join Marine, but I also have a proposal. Oh, what proposal? When Garp heard De's words, a trace of deep disappointment flickered in his eyes. If De joined Marine, he would be glad that Marine has such a talented person. As long as he has seen the background of Marine and world government, he can keep him. It's a pity that he still refused. When he heard that Di had something to say, he was a little surprised and asked. Surrender to me, and I will bestow upon you the monkey family a lifetime of glory. Di opened his eyes suddenly, and an invisible aura spread. Garp's face froze. He knew that Di was arrogant, as he could tell from the fact that he intercepted the celestial dragons, but he never expected to be so arrogant. Surrender yourself. Advertisement. What kind of conceit is this? His position in the marine is self-evident, not to mention the true background of the monkey family is unknown. What kind of self-confidence does Di have to say such words? Marine really failed to find out Di's origin, as if he appeared on Nine Snake Island out of thin air and became the king of the Daughter Kingdom. The origin is extremely mysterious. The surrounding people also had strange expressions on their faces. Garp's recruitment of Di changed the faces of many Marines, especially the three admirals. Such a high promise made them look ugly. Unexpectedly, Di not only refused, but also recruited Garp instead. This kind of arrogance stunned all Marines, including the three admirals. Hawkeye, Enel, they are also stunned. They know that the people they follow are arrogant, but they are so arrogant, as if, a bit dick. The Marine Vice Admiral who directly recruited the opponent is also a legendary Marine hero. Marine's status is higher than the three admirals, and it is close to the Marine Marshal. Swallowing his saliva suddenly, his eyes were full of horror. Black Rose and Hancock looked at the extremely haughty Di with tenderness. This is the man they like, their arrogance made them deeply addicted. Kuina is still young. Her little face is full of shock. Whether it is Marine Admiral or Marine Marshal, it is not something she could get in touch with before. Since following Di, her life seems to have opened up a new era. Chapter. Advertisement. 87. A clan who opens up open black lens bracket 1 more subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Kuina is still young. Her little face is full of shock. Whether it is Marine Admiral or Marine Marshal, it is not something she could get in touch with before. Since following Di, her life seems to have opened up a new era. Chapter. My greatest dream ever. Become the world's #1 swordsman. She often doubts herself about this ideal that was once far away and out of reach, and it is impossible to realize it, but in front of Di, she seems so humble at this time. That god-like figure was engraved on her young heart one by one, and a trace of burning and worship rose in her eyes. At this moment, Garp suddenly closed his eyes without any warning, making everyone extremely puzzled. Teacher. Aokiji had a rare look of excitement on his face. Vice Admiral Garp. Kizaru said solemnly. Vice Admiral Garp. Kai 920 Dog also had a serious face. More Marines were puzzled why their Marine hero Garp suddenly closed his eyes. Nine Snake Island here. Why did he close his eyes? Is it because the boss is too strong? He has given up resistance. I'll go. The boss is awesome. Sure enough, the gap between me and the boss is not a little bit. Enel raised his eyes, and then exclaimed. Advertisement. The eagle-eyed face on the side twitched, and he silently stayed away from this idiot. Anyone could see that Garp would not sit still, and Di's arrogant words just now must have angered this guy. Those upgraded eagle eyes, like a telescope, can clearly see Garp's state. It was a strange calmness. Hawkeye knew that Garp was the strongest at this time. The usual hippie smile and nervousness were just Garp's disguise. It's coming. Hawkeye suddenly murmured in a low voice. What's coming? Kuina, who was beside him, heard the muttering, and asked a little puzzled. Before he finished speaking, Garp suddenly opened his eyes, and an invisible wave of energy directly spread from Garp's strong body to the surroundings, instantly spread to the entire Nine Snake Island, and spread to the farther sea area. Oh, poof. Kuina, who was originally puzzled, jumped into the room, then fell straight to the ground, and fell into a coma. The faces of Hawkeye and Enel suddenly changed wildly. With a strong will, they forcibly carried it, but their faces were covered with sweat. The last time Enel was lucky to be defeated by Golden Lion's Conqueror's Haki, this was a great shame for him, and he would never let himself make the same mistake again. His eyes were full of determination. Advertisement. The same is true for the Black Rose beside her. A fine line of sweat slipped down her pretty face. This momentum is even more terrifying than the Golden Lion, like a wild beast that was imprisoned was released in an instant, erupting in that instant. Only one person is not affected, and that is Hancock. Opening parenthesis. Conqueror's Haki. But Hancock also exclaimed, BJCD, her eyes widened in disbelief. She did not expect to meet the existence of Conqueror's Haki, her conquerors just awakened. The mother-in-law said that if it weren't for the existence of a king now, she would definitely be the next empress. But Hancock is more willing to assist Di and awaken the Conqueror's Haki, so that she can better assist the king. But now, there unexpectedly appeared such a powerful enemy, the terrifying Conqueror's Haki, who was much stronger than her. At this moment, Boa Hancock's eyes became even more divine. Not only on Black Rose's side, Marines on Marine's side are also like leaks, falling one by one on the ground, unconscious. Only a very small number of people are still awake, with horrified faces. The islanders of Nine Snake Island in the rear fell to the ground one by one without warning. The turbid eyes of the mother-in-law also shrank suddenly, full of disbelief, and exclaimed, "Conqueror's hockey." Advertisement. Looking aside, only a few people were still awake, and the others fell to the ground unconscious. Among the few people who were awake, one of them was the little girl Bissy, who was given the transfer fruit by DE, and she couldn't help but feel relieved. This is the power of the strong. If there is no strong person, only one conqueror's hockey is needed to capture them all. DE became king, not only becoming stronger himself, but also leading the whole island to become stronger. When DE saw Garp close his eyes, he was taken aback for a moment, and then he narrowed his eyes. In his eyes, Garp's whole body momentum was as if he was on a rocket, climbing rapidly. There is also a hint of anticipation in the eyes. Monkey D. Garp, the Marine hero, has repeatedly pushed Roger into a desperate situation, and in the end he is Roger's lifelong best friend. It is impossible for such a peak to exist with only a few tricks, and now Garp will come up with the means he has been hiding all along. Really, a family of third generation is Conqueror's hockey, D's family. It really is a mysterious family. DE sighed in his heart. Long and Luffy both have Conqueror's hockey, so how could Garp not have Conquerors? This family is simply an open family. Advertisement. 88. DE's boldness open black lens bracket second update for subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This terrifying Conquerors is much scarier than the Golden Lion. Garp. DE looked down at Garp. His eyes couldn't help but froze, because he saw a pair of eyes without any emotional fluctuations. How can it be? Is this Garp? Garp is nervous and old, and Luffy's character is inherited from Garp, which has become a symbol of the pirate world. But those eyes. Garp raised his head abruptly. Those cold, inhuman eyes met DE's, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, but this slight curvature not only didn't make DE feel that it was a smile, but also made him feel uncomfortable. Bone Demon. Big. There was a thunderous roar, like the thunder of the nine heavens. I saw that Garp's incomparably strong figure suddenly became bigger, and the Marine military uniform, 350, on his body was directly cracked and turned into pieces. The exposed body is not naked, but a layer of white liquid material, like a layer of armor, covering the surface of Garp's body. In everyone's eyes, Garp rose to 5 meters, 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters at a speed visible to the naked eye. Although still smaller than Susanoo, he has become a giant. The few Marines who were awake were stunned and watched this scene in disbelief. Advertisement. Is this still Vice Admiral Garp? Even Kizaru and Akainu couldn't believe it. They had never seen Garp in such a state, surrounded by the aura of destruction. Only Aokiji, with a look of excitement in his eyes, had obviously seen it. Boy DE, stay here. You are the second person I can't see through. You have disturbed the world, and this era does not need you. Garp's voice is also different from before. Just like his coldness at this time, the eyes are normal, without any emotional fluctuations, as if they are pronouncing something. Ha 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 ha. DE, who was watching this scene in a daze, suddenly burst out laughing wildly when he heard this. The black giant seemed to be laughing too, as DE laughed loudly, shaking, the ground cracked and shattered. The laughter was harsh and loud, but Garp didn't move, just looked at DE flatly. DE seemed to have finally gotten tired of laughing and stopped. He wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes lightly, opened his eyes suddenly, a terrifying wave burst out from his eyes, and the sea was instantly stirred up by an invisible wave with a wave height of tens of meters, and his voice became cold chill. Garp, do you want to die? Original work. Plot characters. Marine heroes. This has something to do with him. Admiration is admiration, but those who come to kill him now, he will kill without mercy. Garp was about to speak. Boom. D moved, and the black flame giant also moved, huge, but the movements were not jerky at all, and they were smooth and smooth. The enlarged version of Qinglong Yanyu knife composed of real chakra and void-swallowing flames was lifted by the black flame giant, and with endless destructive aura, it slashed directly towards Garp. Cut. DE's voice was filled with unprecedented killing intent, and everyone who stood in front of him would die. Advertisement. Butterfly effect. Good character. A different Marine. At this moment, these are all just floating clouds. This is the real world of One Piece, not just playing tricks. Others have hit you in front of you, saying they want to kill you. Why do you still have to tie your hands and feet? A king with his hands and feet bound will never become grand. What's more, who is DE afraid of? When the sky blocks, he kills the sky. When the earth blocks, he jumps on the ground. When the gods come, he kills the gods. Kill, kill, kill. Terrifying black flames, accompanied by destructive power, At this moment, the space was forcibly chopped to create a gap. The inside of the space is filled with chaotic space drainage. The terrifying turbulent flow of colorful space makes people have no doubt that it can kill people in an instant. The Qinglong Yanyu knife, tens of meters long, is like a mountain, with terrifying strength and terrifying wind pressure, crushing towards Garp. If the knife does not reach, the air pressure arrives first. Garp immediately shut up, his body bent slightly, his eyes were colder than ever before, but serious. He took out his trump card and fully displayed his form. The purpose was very clear, which was to kill Di, an unstable factor. Uncontrollable, too uncontrollable. The growth is too fast, and various methods are emerging one after another, and the mystery continues. Marine senior management has held countless secret meetings on this matter. The world government and even the five elders have already paid attention to this matter. Di's degree of trouble and growth rate are completely beyond expectations. That's why Marine just launched Buster Call as soon as he was able to enter and leave the calm belt, and the three admirals led the army to attack. The greater Di's reputation, the greater the influence on Marine, which seriously violated Marine's bottom line. This symptom must be curbed early, otherwise it will be beyond the controllable range of Marine. Advertisement. It just so happened that Di had disappeared for a year, his reputation had dropped to the lowest level, and New World was gradually in a state of balance. This was also the best time. How could Marine miss it? Garp himself is quite optimistic about Di. After all, he learned something from Shanks, and his character is still very good. If you can see through a person, you can see it from his character. But it is growing too fast, and the speed is completely beyond control. Originally dispatched 3 admirals, 12 vice admirals, and tens of thousands of marine elites. It can be said that in addition to stabilizing the situation in the 4 seas, there are also various pirates in the New World. This is already the highest standard combat force that Naval Headquarters can draw. It has even exceeded the ultimate combat power that Naval Headquarters can dispatch at this time. Even so, Marine Marshal Kong still sent him, and even let himself come here, just in case. Unexpectedly, not only did it happen, Di's strength far exceeded their expectations, and Di's subordinates came out in large numbers. 3 admirals were directly suppressed, and 11 vice admirals would not help. What was even more frightening was the golden lightsaber. Even Garp himself did not dare to pick it up. Under such circumstances, he could only show up to rescue 3.4 people. He even used his family background to guarantee and promise Di, which can be said to be the position that many people dream of. Unexpectedly, Di refused, and even recruited himself instead. He already thought that Di was very arrogant, but he didn't expect that he was 100 times more arrogant than he imagined. Is this ignorance or confidence? The weak can be said to be ignorant, but what about the strong? That is absolute self-confidence, terrible self-confidence. This kind of boldness, Garp has only seen in one person, that is Roger the Pirate King. No, Di's spirit is even more terrifying and arrogant than that of One Piece Roger. If this kind of person does not die, he is destined to set off an unprecedented frenzy in this world. So, he must die. Advertisement. 89. The battle begins. Open black lens bracket subscription for the 3rd watch. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Fist bone. Garp let out a low growl, and at this moment, Senbai's huge fist was directly covered with a layer of black and shiny Wu armament hockey. Without dodging, he directly bombarded the Qinglong Yanyu knife that Di was slashing towards. It is still a simple move, extremely simple, but it is not to be underestimated. Rumble. The giant fist collided with the giant Qinglong crescent knife, making a shocking explosion. At the same time, there was an eerie calm. An invisible ripple spread from the intersection of the fist and the knife to the surroundings, forming fine lines in the air. The air shattered, folds appeared, and the ripples, which seemed to have no attack power, touched the towering giant trees of Nine Snake Island. The towering giant tree instantly died of flesh. It shattered inch by inch at a speed visible to the naked eye, and was instantly crushed into a bed of powder. The terrifying ripples are mixed with the power condensed to the ultimate. The turf and the ground, upon touching the fine ripples, instantly turned into dust and disappeared inch by inch. The scene was extremely weird. Elementalization. Elementalization. Advertisement. Elementalization. Kizaru, Aokiji, and Akainu's complexion changed drastically, and they roared in unison, turning into elements in an instant. As if they had encountered a natural enemy, they frantically retreated towards the distance. Even with elementalization, the figures of the 3 are still fleshy. Wrinkles were visible to the naked eye, giving them the feeling that the elemental body was instantly annihilated. Terrible. This kind of power can actually affect elementalization. As for Enel, Hawkeye, and Black Rose who were farther away, they seemed to have expected it. Shadow hide. Black Rose murmured, and her figure instantly turned into a panic. Push back the shadow. Grab it. Live Kuina and Hancock quickly leave the battlefield. Elementalization. Enel instantly turned into a thunderbolt, pulled Hawkeye, and retreated tens of miles in an instant. After the upgraded Enel, not only the ability in all aspects has greatly increased, but the speed has also reached an astonishing level. Everyone stopped and looked at the battlefield, feeling lingering fear. I saw that the Marines who had fainted on the ground burst apart inch by inch in the terrifying ripples instantly, and the blood was wanton, and there was a direct bang, bursting into blood rain. In an instant, the Marines who were not physically strong exploded into blood mist, and the Marines a little further away were directly shattered into pieces of flesh, directly losing thousands of Marines, and the remaining Marines woke up from a coma. One by one screamed and spurted blood one after another, and they were already seriously injured. Congratulations to host for killing a capable user and gaining a burst of energy. Congratulations to host for killing a capable user and getting a itch. Advertisement. Congratulations to host for killing a capable user and gaining a burst of energy. Congratulations to host for killing a capable user and gaining a burst of energy. The sound of the system kept ringing in Dee's ears, making Dee stunned, and then grinned loudly. Marine was really willing to pay the cost, and sent so many demon fruit power. And these just add upgraded times to him. The black flame on the giant Xinglong crescent knife devoured the armament hockey on Garp's fist incomparably quickly, corroding quickly like encountering sulfuric acid. Then it corrodes the Moribai bones under armament hockey. Garp's pupils couldn't help shrinking. He knew that Dee's weird flame could devour many things, but he didn't expect that Hockey, who had condensed to ultimate, would still be unstoppable. Weird. So weird. As soon as the two touched each other, Garp took 2 steps back, while Dee flew upside down tens of meters. Garp saw behind him that the Marines on the ground turned into blood clots, and the blood flowed like a river. Immediately baring his teeth, he roared, Dee. Quote. Ha 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 ha, come again. Dee laughed loudly. He didn't care about Garp's roar. The more Marines died, the happier he was. He didn't give Garp a chance at all, and rushed forward again. Xinglong Yanyu knife cut through the void, oscillating circles of ripples, and slashed towards Garp. Advertisement. Garp could only stare at each other angrily, and bombarded him again with his fist. I don't know if Dee was intentional or not, he kept confronting Garp, and gradually approached the undead Marines on the ground. The earth shattered piece by piece, the trees and grass instantly turned into powder, and more Marines died. Before dying, Marine let out a mournful roar, but it was of no avail. It was too fast, and Dee deliberately approached. The terrible aftermath of the shock made the seriously injured Marine unable to stop Li Jiao. Puff puff. Blood was sprayed out one by one, and fragments of internal organs sprayed out from the mouth one after another. Even if the 3 admirals risked injury and elementalized extremely quickly, they would not be able to save many people. One by one, Marine Vice Admiral, you were so scared. Stream. Basically, everyone is wounded, and they dare not approach you at all. More Marines roared in despair, their internal organs eroded by ripples and turned into pieces of flesh. Dee, I'm going to kill you. Garp roared frantically, his iron fists bombarding towards Dee like a machine gun. The eroded bones and hockey healed back to their original shape in an instant. Congratulations to host for killing a capable person and gaining a burst of energy. Advertisement. 90. Miserable 3 Admiral open black lens bracket 1 more subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Congratulations to host for killing a capable user and gaining a burst of energy. Congratulations to host for killing a capable user and gaining a burst of energy. Congratulations to host for killing a capable user and gaining a burst of energy. Ha 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 ha. Come on. Garp, Lousy will kill you today. Listening to the sound of the system, like the sound of heaven, Dee didn't feel worried at all, but became more relaxed. The black giant became more flexible, and the Xinglong Yanyu knife in his hand slashed down one by one, joining Garp's giant fist boy. Boom, boom, boom. There were explosions like thunder, accompanied by the continuous death of Marine. Garp's killing intent became more and more intense, and the bone giant suddenly surged again, and it was about the same size as Dee's fully armed Susano. The berserk killing intent churned like a sea, and the white clouds in the sky thousands of miles away were directly washed away. Under the continuous collision between the two, the sea kept smashing and merging. Those majestic warships on the sea level turned into powder one by one, floating in the wind. Garp's shape is like powder, and his scarlet eyes reveal a killing intent like a beast. The more you fight, the more surging. The more you fight, the stronger you will be. This year, Dee has also been exercising his body crazily, and also used Enel's Thunder of Heaven's retribution to constantly condense his body. His body is no longer a weakness, except for his demihuman body, which has also been condensed to a certain extent. Hawkeye and Ai Lu are still shocking by the terrible practice of masochism. Advertisement. In this battle, the strength of the body was also fully stimulated. The two knocked down the sky from the ground. Hit from the sky to the ground again. The sea level churned, and the sea water was smashed into droplets and turned into nothingness. The small half of Nine Snake Island has long since disappeared, turned into powder, and sank to the bottom of the sea. It was a mess everywhere. Also, on Hydra Island, Enel and Hawkeye were not idle at all, fighting together with the three admirals and the seriously injured Marines. Kizaru, who has been hit by DE, is not at all the opponent of Enel, who has been upgraded by DE. At this time, Enel's speed is no worse than Kizaru's. One blue and one yellow, frantically confronting each other. And it was mainly Kizaru's defense. Enel pressed Kizaru to fight. Hawkeye fights against Akainu. His extremely powerful swordsmanship is extremely terrifying, plus his upgraded version of Hawkeye, he can instantly catch Akainu's weakness. Akainu played very aggrieved. Many times, he had to give up attacking general attacks. It felt like Hawkeye had been restraining him. Advertisement. At this time, Hawkeye was not that powerful, but Akainu had already been beaten to half his life by DE, and with Hawkeye's terrifying insight, he could only feel aggrieved by being crushed and beaten. Not to mention how aggrieved it was. He is Admiral, and he will be forced into such a mess one day. Black Rose also beat Aokiji, and Aokiji was also seriously injured. Black Rose is no worse than Admiral, and his terrifying swordsmanship is completely different from Hawkeye. Come on, come to Ultimate, Aokiji is suffering. Boa Hancock has developed a lot of abilities from the sweet fruit. Kuina's swordsmanship has also been greatly improved, and holding the word, Hidao, in his hand, he killed the few Marines who were lingering. The remaining Marine Vice Admiral, which was severely damaged, was directly surrounded by the people of Nine Snake Island led by Granny Z. Hoo-hoo, Armament Hockey's arrows fall like rain. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of explosions was endless. Asshole, asshole, asshole Snake Island. The seriously injured Marine Vice Admiral roared angrily, feeling too aggrieved, too aggrieved. Ask for flowers. Normally, this kind of armed arrows may not be fatal, but at this time they are seriously injured. Advertisement. These arrows wrapped around Armament Hockey are simply life-threatening charms. There were blood holes in their bodies, especially a high-quality Armament Hockey, and even arrows that could threaten their peak state. At this time, even more tragic. One by one died unwillingly in the rain of arrows. In the battle with DE, they didn't die, but died in the hands of someone weaker than themselves. How could they be willing? 0. Originally, I naively thought that this time was very easy, but I never thought that I would ruin my life. The mother-in-law is also decisive. She just grinds for a long time, consumes tens of thousands of arrows, and grinds the remaining Vice Admiral to death. The advantage of this is that, in addition to a few accidental injuries to the islanders of Nine Snake Island, there was also one who was seriously injured by a Vice Admiral's desperate counterattack, and died at the same time. In the end, only 3 admirals were left struggling. Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akainu are full of bitterness. At this time, the state of the 3 of them is even more miserable than a beggar who confiscated Sengoku's house, like a blood man. And Kizaru was even more miserable. He was like a scorched carbon man, almost no part of his body was intact, and his whole body was full of various burns. Enel's thunder of heaven's retribution made Kizaru suffer a lot. He couldn't figure out why Enel, who had fought with him before, would have such terrible thunder and lightning at this time, several times. He was directly chopped out of the elementalization, and several times, he almost thought he was just belching. P.S. I'm sorry, it's raining today, I fell at work, and I just got up. Advertisement. 91. The arrival of Sengoku open black lens bracket second watch for subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Kizaru even had doubts in his heart, that is, when he was in his prime, could he beat this guy? The terrifying lightning, the ever-changing methods, and the level of Logia fruit no less than his own, and such people are just DE's subordinates. Looking at the islanders of Nine Snakes surrounding the 3 of them, looking at them with hatred, the arrows of Armament Hockey were entangled one by one, full of sharp penetrating power. Kuina was sweating profusely, covered with blood all over her body, and her face was a little pale, but she stood resolutely, holding the word Hidao tightly. Only then did they feel that the people on an island can learn the pain of hockey, which is extremely terrifying. A few Marine Vice Admirals, even though they were seriously injured, died just like that. Those bodies were filled with arrows, and it was impossible to see the original appearance clearly. This made the 3 of them feel as if they saw their 19 future selves, and their hearts sank again and again. Leaning back to back, the faces of the 3 of them were as ugly as they were. Perhaps if they were not leaning against each other, they would have fallen to the ground. Boom, boom, Boom. Advertisement. In the sky, the two giants were still clashing non-stop, at a very fast speed. In an instant, they were on the west side of Nine Snake Island, and then on the east side of Nine Snake Island. The ripples generated wantonly set off terrifying waves in the sea. Hearing the movement, the Sea Kings hundreds of meters away appeared on the sea level and was dismembered in an instant. The sea level was dyed red, and the bloody smell made more Sea Kings appear, and then the Sea Kings who had no time to dodge, like ripples like blades, shattered into minced meat and slag. Soon, the whole sea is red. And at this moment, in the sky, a strange roar came. Garp. The three admirals, who were already in despair, were suddenly shaken, their eyes flickered with disbelief, and then the original despair was replaced by a look of surprise. Enel and Hawkeye haven't reacted yet. Just listen to the strange voice roaring again in the sky, Big Buddha form. The next moment, a golden light suddenly appeared in the sky, and a huge golden Buddha statue suddenly appeared in the sky, no smaller than Garp's bone demon and Diyi's Susanoo. The quasi-marshal is really here. Kizaru couldn't help but exclaimed. Aokiji and Akainu were also excited. They were really saved. They were desperate and could only wait for hope, that is, Garp defeated Diyi. But Diyi is far stronger than imagined, even if they are dead, Garp can't escape. But now, the strong Marshal Sengoku of the same level as Garp has come, which is completely different. Advertisement. Ha 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 ha, Sengoku, I didn't expect you to come too, and you joined forces with me to kill Diyi. This guy is too scary and he has endless tricks. Garp's voice followed suit. Good, Sengoku replied decisively. The expressions of everyone on Nine Snake Island suddenly changed. If they were not worried about Diyi's safety at first, but now they couldn't help worrying, these are two peak powerhouses. Marine hero Garp alone has made Diyi fight so far, let alone another strong player of the same level. The newcomer is the current quasi-marshal, who is going to succeed Sengoku's original Marine Admiral as the marshal. This, quote, Hawkeye, Enel, and Black Rose changed their colors one after another, and they even saw the end of Diyi being besieged by two people. How is it possible? Sengoku is here too. Is Marine crazy? They don't care about New World. Grandma Z exclaimed in disbelief. What should I do? What should I do? Hancock's originally resolute little face was now full of anxiety. Kuina's little face was full of helplessness, and they were too weak to help at all. Advertisement. Black Rose's exquisite face was full of worry, and she bit her red lips lightly with her white teeth, as if hesitating for a moment, her figure suddenly rose from the ground. I'm coming too. Enel immediately turned into a bolt of lightning and flashed towards the sky. Boom. Boom. Hawkeye Mahawk stepped on the air with 110 air, and flew towards the sky quickly with a black knife in his hand without hesitation. Get out of the way. Don't get in the way. A roar came from the sky. I saw that Enel, who had just flashed away, was directly slapped by Sengoku, the Buddha. Call. Boom. The whole person is like a shooting star, directly fell into the sea. Even though Enel has reached Admiral's strength now, there is still a big gap from the peak combat power. Mahawk's face changed. Enel is a fruit-capable person. It would be bad if he fell into the sea, and he would be drowned alive, especially in Calm Belt, where there are many Sea Kings. Without hesitation, Hawkeye immediately turned around, watching Enel fall headlong into the place where he fell into the sea. Although it seems that Hawkeye is arrogant and Enel is cold, the relationship between the two is still very good. After all, as strong people, they also have common topics. Gao Rose, get down. Diyi's eyes turned cold, he drew his sword and slashed, directly forced the two of them back, and ordered to the Black Rose who was still rushing towards this side. Advertisement. 92. The king must win. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 92. Black Rose's figure paused, and her delicate face was full of grievances, with a hint of stubbornness. This made Diyi restrain his murderous aura, but his voice was still extremely strong. Go down and lead the people of Nine Snake Island back to the depths of the island. But, Black Rose wanted to say something else. I'll be fine. Diyi interrupted directly. But Garp and Sengoku attacked again. The two teamed up to force Diyi back again and again. Susanoo was shattered inch by inch under Garp's crazy iron fist and Sengoku's terrifying shock wave, but recovered in an instant. Black Rose gritted her teeth tightly. Her long hair was blown away by the raging wind. Her ruby-like eyes were filled with tears of grievance. In the end she still followed Diyi's order and turned around, but her mouth was low. Nan left a sentence in the wind. Master, if you die, Rose will accompany you. With a resolute look, he returned to Nine Snake Island. Just landed down, surrounded by worried Hancocks. 480. Lord Rose, how is the Lord? Lord Rose, is the king all right? Lord Rose, the king. Advertisement. Looking at the worried faces, Black Rose tried to calm down her worries, and said with a straight face, why mother-in-law? Yes. The mother-in-law walked out, and her eyes were full of worry. Nine Snake Island has no way out. DE can be so powerful, it has completely exceeded her expectations. A battle of this level is too terrifying. Is this the top powerhouse in the sea? But, now there are 3 people, 2 of whom are still enemies. Can DE handle it? Why mother-in-law doesn't know, 1 step to heaven, 1 step to hell. If DE wins, it is the best development opportunity for 9 Snake Island, but if he loses, the future of Snake Island will be gloomy and endless. Can DE win? If DE is facing Garp alone, why mother-in-law doesn't know? But at this time, DE was facing 2 people. Although Po didn't want to admit it in her heart, no matter how she looked at it, there was no possibility of winning. Perhaps this is the end of Ju Snake Island. Call. Black Rose took a deep breath and said directly, "The master has ordered you to take everyone back to 9 Snake Island." Ah, the mother-in-law was taken aback for a moment, and then looked up at the Black Rose in disbelief, but quickly realized, and said quickly, "Yes, follow the orders of the king." Advertisement. I won't go, I want to live and die with the king. Hancock shouted suddenly. He had already seen his stunning face for the first time, and his jewel-like eyes were filled with tears. Tread. Master. I'm not going either. Kuina, whose face was covered in blood, suddenly took a step forward and said firmly. The words of the 2 women seemed to be a signal. I'm not going either, I want to live and die with the king. Swear to follow the king to the death, and coexist with 9 Snake Island. Your Majesty, the king is fighting for 9 Snake Island, and must not retreat. I am not a coward. Long live the king. Long live the king. BJ, long live the king. Long live the king. Long live the king. The many islanders of 9 Snake Island are themselves a nation of warriors. They worship the strong, advocate the supremacy of strength, and even swear to follow their king. Once they identify a king, it will never change. What's more, DE became the king, which not only brought a lot of wealth to 9 Snake Island, but also increased strength, better life, and stronger fighting, which was impossible for them before. DE is the god in their hearts, the undefeated king. What kind of difficulties have you encountered? Advertisement. No one dares to snatch the gold in the sky. DE dares to snatch it. Celestial dragons aloft. DE slaughtered him like a dog. Marine's strength symbolizes the 3 admirals. Isn't it like 3 distressed dogs now, lingering on their last legs? I will not retreat, I believe the king will win. Hancock shouted. That's right, the king will definitely not lose, and will definitely defeat the enemy. He said that he will bring our 9 Snakes Island to rule the world. Yes, the king must win. The king must win. The king must win. This torrent of sound became louder and louder, and slowly gathered together, getting louder and louder, reaching the 9th floor. During the shouting, the people of 9 Snakes Island gathered together like never before, and the terrifying aura of gathering made Grandma Zaw stunned on the spot. Which emperor of 9 Snakes Island could achieve this terrible cohesion? No, and neither did she. Black Rose stared blankly at this scene, and her eyes couldn't help getting a little moist. It turned out that she was not the only one who believed that the master would win. Tread. Boss will definitely win. With the sound of footsteps, Joe's weak voice sounded. Black Rose looked back and saw that it was Enel who was fished out of the sea by Eagle Eye. His chest was completely sunken, and thunder and lightning flashed from time to time, maintaining his life. I won't lose, the people I follow Dracula Hawk, how can I just stop here? Hawkeye's sharp eagle eyes were sharper than ever, looking up at the constant explosions above the sky. Advertisement. 93. Is there a saying that I don't know if I should say it or not? Open black lens bracket 1 more subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Boom. 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 There was a dull explosion sound, and the violent air pressure surged down from the sky, just like a terrible monster hidden on the sea level, setting off waves of tens of meters in the sea from time to time. That's right, the master will not lose, he will definitely win. Black Rose bit her red lips lightly with her white teeth, and her eyes became firm. Kizaru, Aokiji, and Akainu looked at this group of crazy people in disbelief. They couldn't figure out what this group of people were thinking. You must know that the one fighting DE is not the same person, the marine hero with full firepower, and the other is the quasi-martial. In marine, the higher the level, and the higher the strength at the same time. 7 Fourth Lord. Why is world government above marine? Just the real scary characters, right up there. Advertisement. 5 elders are god-like figures. Only those who have reached their level can know some inside information. Marine's mechanism is more complicated than imagined. That is to say, Garp and Sengoku are martial-level existences, and a DE is not easy to win. These blind people are so stupid and ridiculous. Fortunately for the 3 of them, This group of lunatics did not continue to besiege, but quietly looked at the sky. The three of them couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, and the pressure dropped sharply. If a group of people attacked, especially if there were experts like Black Rose and Hawkeye, they would probably die here. This battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. From the sky to the desert island, and from the desert island to the sky. Hawkeye, Enel, they don't know what the process is like, because this battle is getting farther and farther away. All the deserted islands around Nine Snake Island were blown up one by one, and then sank to the bottom of the sea. This is a battle that exhausts everyone. Everyone on Nine Snakes Island is waiting for the ending. 3 admirals of course dare not sleep. Their bodies are seriously injured. What if they are killed immediately after resting? They don't even have to drink a sip of food or water. If it weren't for their fate, I guess I can't stand it. Advertisement. 3 days later. DE flew back, and there was nothing intact on his body, only that handsome face seemed to be unimpressed at all, with incomparable confidence, eyes as deep as the starry sky with strong confidence, and looked away indifferently. He glanced at the 3 admirals who looked like 3 dead dogs, and then returned to the Snake Island amidst the cheers and support of the crowd. And then, Garp and Sengoku also appeared in a panic. The appearance of the two of them is much more miserable than that of DE. Garp's Chinese character face was beaten into a pig's head, one bruise, and his left arm was cut off directly, and was held by the right arm, limping foot. Similarly, Sengoku is not much better, the whole face is worse than Garp. It seems that DE is really serious about the truth. Hitting people will hit the face. His eyes are bruised, like the national treasure panda in his previous life. His front teeth have been knocked out quite a few. Their jaws were abnormally twisted, and one leg was twisted into a twisted shape, which made people shudder. Can that leg still be used? The 2 men's faces were so gloomy that they appeared quickly, and then quickly left with the 3 admirals, as if they didn't want to stay on Nine Snake Island for another second. 3 Admiral originally saw DE appear. Everyone was shocked, unbelievable, and full of despair at the same time. DE gave the 3 of them a cold look, and as long as DE gave the order, the 3 of them would die in Wonkwon. Unexpectedly, DE just took a cold look, and left with everyone on Nine Snake Island. Immediately, the miserable appearance of Garp and Sengoku appeared, which shocked the 3 of them even more, and they were completely speechless. This time Buster Call, it is obvious that Marine failed. Advertisement. 3 Marine Admirals, 12 Marine Vice Admirals, tens of thousands of Marine elites, and finally Marine heroes and quasi-marshals. On the other hand, on Nine Snake Island, except for a few people who were seriously injured, no one died. Maybe it's Marine's arrogance, but I have to say, Marine failed completely this time. The second day of the war. A piece of news on the World Daily once again shocked the world and shocked the eyes of all the pirates. The era of DE is coming. Countless people are waiting for the Marine of this large-scale operation. What kind of ending will it be? Most of them are not optimistic about the future of Nine Snake Island, and basically end up being destroyed. The lineup that Marine sent is too big. 3 admirals, 12 vice admirals, and tens of thousands of Marine elites spared no effort in naval headquarters to build the reputation of Naval 3.1 Army. No 4 emperors can stop it, let alone silence for a year. DE was slowly forgotten by the sea. But the ending completely shocked everyone's eyeballs out of their sockets. Marshal Marine spoke in person, roughly meaning, this Buster Call is actually a misunderstanding. DE is a good character. Not like those vicious pirates who do many evils. The calm belt area around Nine Snake Island was directly given by Marine the Nine Snake Island, as the sea area under their jurisdiction, above. When everyone saw this news, a sentence rose in their minds. Do I have a sentence in my heart that I don't know if I should say it or not? Advertisement. 94. The arrival of Shanks. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It's too fake. It's too fake. Even if you think about it with your butt, it's not right. Is Buster Call a misunderstanding? DE is not a vicious pirate. He also gave the Calm Belt Sea area to Jew Snake Island. Seeing this news, I don't know how many big pirates burst out laughing. It's so funny. This is definitely the funniest news report this year. When DE first appeared in everyone's sight, he robbed celestial dragons of the heavenly gold. Later, he destroyed marine warships, and even killed celestial dragons. This one thing is much better than many big pirates. The bounty is even more. Well, by the way, this time DE's bounty has been updated again, directly reaching 1 billion. Seeing this scene, everyone in 4 Seas was speechless. While you were talking about the big move this time, the shocking move in 4 Seas was a misunderstanding, and at the same time, you were giving a bounty to the parents. Damn, Marine, can you grow up? Can you be more shameless? Everyone knew in their hearts that this large-scale, originally vowed action by Marine must have been deflated by DE's hands, and it was a big one. Advertisement. This also shocked them to the extreme. That luxurious lineup actually lost. Many people can't believe it. Why is DE so strong? Many people thought that DE had been eliminated by the times, or even died, but this time Marine was pecked at instead of stealing the chicken. Not only did he lose face, but Shen also proved DE's strength the best. All of a sudden, the sea was full of turmoil, and DE's reputation spread all over the world like thunder. This incident continued to ferment all over the world, instantly making DE's reputation faintly surpass that of the four emperors, and even many pirates said that in this sea, the era of DE is coming. DE is too young. Young makes you feel that his potential is still scary. At this time, on the edge of the calm belt, a super ship appears, slightly larger than a Marine Vice Admiral warship. Advertisement. Pirate flag, skull, 2 knives on the back, a scar on the left eye, the pirate ship of New World, 4 emperors, red-haired Shanks. Standing at the bow was a straight figure like a gun. It was Shanks, with messy red hair, 3 scars on the left eye, short beard around the mouth, empty left arm, a long black cloak, waist and crotch western sword, lower body is baggy cropped pants, wearing sandals. Captain, the latest newspaper, the battle between Marine and DE is over. Vice Captain Ben Beckman stepped out of the boat and handed it to the redhead. Hey, it seems that we are still late. Shanks sighed, stretched out his hand to take it, and sighed regretfully. It seems that this favor is not repaid. The words he said were very embarrassing, and there was no feeling of sadness at all. The calm Ben Beckman couldn't help but twitch slightly at this time, and said speechlessly, Captain, you'd better read the report carefully. Huh, didn't DE die? Is this kid so lucky? Shanks was taken aback, his face was a little exciting, and then he laughed. Ha 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 ha, I knew this kid would not die so easily, but this favor it's even harder to pay, Captain. You're in debt. Ben Beckman has strange eyes, standing aside, as if waiting for something. Shanks, who was originally lazy, flipped through the newspaper, gasped suddenly, his expression became weirder the more he looked at it, and finally his eyes stared like copper bells, full of disbelief, as if he had seen a ghost. Advertisement. He raised his head and looked at his deputy captain. Hold the grass. Is this true or not? DE disabled Yang Lianling. Marshal Marine even came forward to say that it was a misunderstanding. Is he such a dick? That expression is obviously saying, are you f***ing kidding me? Beckman seemed to see the expression he wanted, nodded calmly, and complained. Of course it's true. I don't have the spare time to make a newspaper to deceive the idiot captain. It's just a monster. Monster. The sea is not calm. Shanks didn't hear the complaints at all, or he was used to being called, and muttered to himself, and then he couldn't help but muttered, Captain. Can I not pay back the favor you owe? It's too difficult. I can't afford it. I don't have any money. Only 100,000 Bailey's pocket money every month. These crew members are too stingy. Why are they so? What about the captain? Beckman on the side was full of black lines. There is no such unreliable captain. He not only complained about the crew, but also complained in front of the deputy captain. In other words, is this the time to talk about such things? Shanks himself is bold and generous, and he doesn't care about trivial matters. In other words, he is no different from Luffy, the protagonist of the original One Piece. The original One Piece Roger also has this bad personality in his life, so Shanks thinks that Luffy is Roger's successor. The pirates in the sea also said that Shanks is Roger's successor. And Ben Beckman, who happens to be calm, with a high IQ and superior strength, just compliments his laid-back and cheerful Captain Shanks, who is basically in charge of the Shanks pirates. Shanks often complains that without Beckman, his pirate group must be a mess, and then laughs heartlessly. P.S. The author has a high fever and is still writing code words. Please subscribe to support me and encourage myself. Advertisement. 95. The calm before the storm. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. But Ben Beckman didn't think it was hot enough. Said very calmly. According to rumors, after the Buster call failed that day, a marine saw Garp and Sengoku flying away from the calm belt miserably, followed by 3 dark figures behind them. The scene should be the elemental figure of the current 3 admirals in Marine. What? Shanks raised his head suddenly, and looked at his deputy as if he had seen a ghost. The expression was no longer that you were teasing me, but that you were joking, and it was still a big joke. Who is Garp? The Marine hero, the guy who has led his captain into corners many times, and who has participated in the battles, knows how strong Garp is. Who is Sengoku? Today's quasi-marshal, almost no one has seen him shoot, but how could he not have seen him when he is beside Roger? Roger once commented that Sengoku is not weaker than Garp at all, and his body is stronger than Conqueror's Haki, also rare Imperial color Haki. The 2 of them, evacuated from the calm belt. With the 3 generals. The rumors are like this. Ben Beckman nodded with his expression still serious. Hiss. Shanks was stunned, his heart was like a violent storm on the sea, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. Advertisement. He already overestimated Di, but he didn't expect that he still whispered to him from afar. He can remember Yu Xin fighting against Di. Neither of them used their full strength, but Di's level is at most similar to his, although the moves used are very mysterious, but he does not believe that he has lost. But now. Still going to Hydra? Beckman asked. Go. Since we're all here, of course we're going to pay a visit. Shanks raised his head abruptly, with a rare serious face, looking at Combelt in front of him without a trace of wind, and said in a dignified voice. Yes. Beckman didn't say much, and turned back to the cabin, ready to command the crew to fight and enter the Combelt. There are quite a few Sea Kings. And Shanks' mood at this time is completely different from the mood a few minutes ago. Looking at the sun in the sky without a trace of dark clouds, his mood is more complicated than ever. No wonder Marine is so eager to get rid of this person. Will this person be the arrival of a new era? New world, the deepest part of the Grand Line, the recognized king of the four emperors, the Whitebeard pirates. Huge whale headgear, super giant ship, Moby Dick. Surrounded by dozens of small pirate ships like kings in the middle. Advertisement. This is the most powerful existence recognized among pirates today, the Whitebeard pirates. On the deck of the Moby Dick, Whitebeard's 16 captains were standing neatly, and in the middle of the innermost side sat a giant who was taller than a standing man even if he was sitting. A sharp-edged face, a white beard curved like a crescent moon, wearing a cloak similar to that of a marine marshal, except that the word, justice, is missing, the breasts are exposed, and the muscles like knives are carved on it. All kinds of hideous scars. Who la 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 la. But another remarkable figure appears above the ocean. That unique and shocking laughter resounded over the sea, with a hint of exclamation and nostalgia. Father, the rumors should be false. This Di has only appeared for 2 years, how could it be so strong? It is obviously an exaggeration of the facts. The captain of the first team of the Whitebeard pirates, Phoenix, Margot disdainfully said. What does that matter? Edward Newgate didn't care. He waved his hands and said with a big smile, my sons, let's have a banquet. Celebrate another strong man above the sea. Ask for flowers. Yes, father. Ha 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 ha. Dad, you want to drink again. Father, you can't drink anymore. Advertisement. Edward Newgate directly pulled off the drip and oxygen tube on his body, stood up, his strong figure was more than 10 meters high, and a normal person only reached his knees, and he laughed without any scruples. Today we are not drunk endlessly. The anxious doctors and nurses rushed forward to stop Whitebeard. Because of years of fighting and drinking every day, he has accumulated many irreparable hidden wounds on his body, coupled with the aging of his body. He will basically receive infusion therapy at any time to suppress the injuries, but even so, Whitebeard is still unabated and respected by the big pirates, at the same time as recognized as the strongest man in the world. The banquet was raised again, but Edward Newgate's eyes were a little deep. He looked up to the sky, and whispered, Garp, Sengoku, did you really lose? Not only Shanks and Whitebeard, but other big pirates are also doubting and discussing this matter. Nothing is groundless, and they have reached their status, and they all know that it is impossible for Marine to compromise to such a degree and use such stupid means. Possible. But this time it was indeed Marine who backed down, and it was Marshal Marine who explained it himself. But why on earth would Marine retreat to such an extent? All this is a mystery, they have no way of knowing. But the sea will never be calm again. Black clouds overwhelm the city and the city is about to be destroyed, and the mountain rain is about to come and the wind fills the building. Marine will not compromise easily, and the next storm will come even more violently. Advertisement. 96. The tenderness of roses open black lens bracket 1 more subscription close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 9 Snake Island. Every islander had a look of joy on his face, and ran quickly, holding drinks and pieces of meat towards the most central square. After a victorious war, what can highlight the joy of victory? Of course it was a banquet, an incomparably grand banquet in which all islanders participated. After a night of rest, Di had completely recovered, as if she couldn't see the scars from the previous battle at all. If it weren't for the disappearance of the surrounding islands, and the loss of half of Jew Snake Island, everyone would have thought that everything was fake and never happened. This time, the harvest is not small. Among the tens of thousands of elite Marines, there is still a lack of demon fruit power. Most of them are only common types, most of them are zone, and a few are paramesha. There are very few demon fruit powers in One Piece anime, because many of them are special fruits, and some are plot characters. After all, this is the real world. Some people have some adventures, are special families. Devil fruit is indeed precious. But there are definitely more than 19 in the anime, and there are some unknown devil fruits. Di thought. The system, transform all the collected energy. Advertisement. Okay. Host. The system sounds. The conversion was successful, and currently the host has a total of 14 upgraded times. Di narrowed his eyes slightly, thinking about his next plan. These upgraded times are his capital. This time the battle was really extremely dangerous. Garp's arrival was within his expectations, but just as he was crushing and beating Garp violently, Sengoku appeared again. But the price the two of them paid in the end was still not small, and they still couldn't do anything to win him. Once my choice was right. He also read the newspapers and put them aside. Garp and Sengoku really had the ability to convince Martial Marine. World government, celestial dragons, 5 elders. In Di's long and narrow pupils, a fierce light flashed. In the past, he was too lazy to provoke. People would not offend me, I would not offend. This time in the battle, he realized a lot of things. You are powerful, but if you don't have power, you will always be at a disadvantage, and it is easy to hurt people around you. Just like this time, if he hadn't subdued Hawkeye and Enel himself, or even upgraded for them, then Hydra Island might have suffered heavy losses this time. Advertisement. You only need to pester yourself. 3 admirals, 12 vice admirals, tens of thousands of marine elites are not empty. Especially the 12 vice admirals, mid to high-end strength, are not comparable to Jew Snake Island. Although his upgraded statue has increased the background and strengthened the capital of 9 Snake Island, but the time is too short, and 9 Snake Island needs a sufficient buffer period to have an explosive growth. This time, it was almost a big mistake. Marine will not let him go, or the world government. At the same time, in this sea, he needs to establish a regime that belongs to him, which is too difficult. Because once it develops, the world government will regard him as a thorn in its side, but the regime must develop. Even if you don't look at it, the Revolutionary Army is still a street mouse, developing secretly, even in the later stage. There are indeed many pirates in this world, but pirates are always in a state of disunity. If you want to gather strength, you must develop your power. Pirates have always been nothing more than small fights, so what if you build Whitebeard? Be the overlord. Still ants. He jumped out of the circle of power. No, Roger did not jump out of this circle when he reached the peak, so Roger chose to start the era of great pirates in order to break this scene. Advertisement. Ridiculous, although he is called the strongest man in the world. But in reality, there is more than one person who is truly stronger than him. To break this situation, it is not a pirate group, nor a group of pirates, or even a country that can break it. It must establish a supreme force, and it must jump out of the monitoring range of the world government. And this place, Di happened to have a choice. Just then, footsteps came from the side. A beautiful snake-like enchanting figure gently crawled on D300 Yi's lap, slowly wrapping around Di's waist. Just after taking a bath, she still has long white and pink hair with a delicate fragrance, a pair of fair and delicate facial features, big watery eyes with endless love, exhaling like blue, greedily sucking the breath of Di's body, kind of unspeakable satisfaction. Master, do you know? I am really worried that you will leave me like this. Rose has already swore in her heart that I will die when you die, and I will live when you live. You can't get rid of me. Lifting that disastrous face from Di's arms, the ruby-like eyes carried a tenderness like twisting fingers that can melt steel. Women can't listen to men's sweet talk and tenderness. Men also can't listen to a woman's sincere confession, because this sincerity makes you pity and feel distressed. Di was so moved, he lowered his head to meet the eyes full of endless tenderness, and gently stroked that delicate face with extremely gentle movements. If there is a woman like this, what can a husband ask for? Advertisement. 97. Rose dedicated, second watch for flowers. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. After more than an hour, Di and Rose reappeared. Di was full of energy, and an invisible momentum erupted from his body. Rose's face, which was originally alluring, was even more rosy, exuding an astonishing charm. The women on 9 Snake Island all looked at it with red eyes and exclaimed, "It's so beautiful, it's so beautiful." Advertisement. Let's start the banquet. Looking at the crowd, Di waved his hand and said loudly, "Long live the king! Long live the king! Long live the king!" Everyone cheered heartily. For a while, the chef grilled, ate food, sang and danced, all with joy from the heart. One after another delicacies were presented to the king they most respected and admired. The rose is like a virtuous wife, who cuts the first piece, each piece is as thin as a cicada's wing, sprinkles with seasonings, and puts it in front of her. Hancock and Kuina on the side have been watching Black Rose secretly. Advertisement. Do not know why. They feel that the rose is more beautiful than before, the light on the face is so dazzling, so happy. Could it be possible to become more beautiful? The two were discussing with thieves. Enel, come have a drink. Hawkeye gulped down the wine and ate the barbecue. As a swordsman, besides swords, his hobby is eating. Creak creak. Enel, who was wrapped like a rice dumpling, gnawed on the apple in his hand like a mouse. Advertisement. Hearing Hawkeye's words, he refused without hesitation. No, it's not good to drink. How can a man only eat apples? He should drink heavily and eat meat. Hawkeye snorted. No, apples are delicious. Ever since Enel came to Qinghai and found apples from Nine Snake Island, he couldn't help falling in love with this simple and delicious food in the world. From green apples to red apples, there are also various varieties of apples, which are his favorite collections. Hawkeye is extremely ashamed. This freak, which pirate doesn't drink or eat meat. This guy actually likes to eat apples strangely. How could there be such a wonderful man in this world, yet he just met him? Still my best friend now. Advertisement. 98. The shock of Shanks open black lens bracket subscription for the third watch close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. No, he must change his habit. Eating apples alone is easy to cause nutritional imbalance, and drinking and eating meat is a great hobby in life. One person urges wine to eat meat, and the other stubbornly insists that apples are the best food in the world. In the end, it was almost a fight, and I have to say that the reason is really speechless. This is probably the worst reason to fight. Master Mahawk, Master Enel, please don't get angry. We have a kind of brewed only with apples in Nine Snakes Island, which is specially researched by the brewer for Mr. Enel. A chef of Nine Snakes Island hurriedly stopped and asked people get it quickly. Really? When Enel heard this, he immediately stopped his hands, turned his head, and suddenly became very interested. He is very interested in everything related to 483, with apple. Just put Hawkeye aside. Hawkeye also squeezed forward with interest. Anyway, he didn't want to fight. Maybe this wine tastes good. The chef was ashamed and nodded quickly. Yes, I'll bring it right away. Soon, a super large wine jar was brought in. Master Enel, this wine is not too long, and the taste has not yet fully penetrated. The chef explained while lifting the wine cap. Advertisement. The moment he just lifted the lid of the wine, Enel turned into a bolt of lightning and disappeared in place, appearing next to the wine jar taller than a person, with blue lightning in his eyes, and his nose kept moving. It's full of apple flavor, which is his favorite flavor. And soon, Enel, I want a refill, it tastes good. Hawkeye chased after the jar of wine and said. Enel hugged the wine jar and turned into a bolt of lightning, then turned around and said, Don't dream, this is mine. But soon, Enel and Enel crossed their arms, eating meat and drinking heavily. Neither of them tasted very well, and Enel had never drank alcohol, so it was easy to get drunk. Hawkeye drinks a lot, but unfortunately he doesn't hold a lot of alcohol. The two people who usually had serious faces suddenly revealed their natures that they didn't usually have after drinking. Singing pirate songs, dancing strange dances, and laughing constantly, the islanders of Ju Snake Island sang and danced around the two. Ha 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 ha, it's a banquet, how can we be missing? Just as everyone was eating happily, a hearty laughter came from outside the square where everyone was celebrating. Moment. All the warriors of Nine Snakes immediately dropped the meat and wine in their hands, picked up their own bows, the bows and arrows were instantly placed on the strings, and the bows were fully drawn, armament hockey wrapped around the arrows. It feels like a wild beast, and the battle is on the verge of breaking out. It only took 2 seconds from the original lively scene to the murderous scene. Advertisement. Fighting nations have always carried their own weapons with them, even now. Because this is a big feast, and Nine Snake Island is in the calm belt, basically no pirates pass by, so everyone came to this feast. But I didn't expect that someone would arrive on the island, and the faces of many Nine Snake Island soldiers suddenly showed coldness. It was unexpected that they were still laughing, singing and dancing a second ago. Hawkeye and Enel, who were already drunk, stood up instantly. Hawkeye's eagle eyes were extremely sharp, flickering with frightening light, before the sword was drawn, but wisps of sword intent had already burst out. Enel's body was covered with blue lightning, and the alcohol in his stomach was quickly electrolyzed, evaporating the alcohol, and his blurred eyes soon became extremely refreshing. Sitting in the main position, Dee's face remained unchanged, and he pressed his hands lightly at everyone. It's friends, not enemies. Dee only said 4 words, and everyone's expressions changed instantly. In a second, the tense scene turned into the lively scene before. Laughter, singing, dancing, bonfires. But the pirate crew members behind Shanks were shocked into a cold sweat, and their eyes were full of shock. At that moment, all of them felt locked in, a feeling they had never experienced even when they went to the Whitebeard pirates, who were also 4 emperors with Shanks. The Whitebeard pirates, after all, know that they are the Shanks pirates fighting at the same level, of course they have scruples. But Nine Snake Island is different, no matter who you are, as long as you are an enemy, at the first order, everyone will be killed without mercy. Shanks still had a bohemian smile, but there was a hint of shock in his eyes. When he met Yi before, he didn't follow so many 9 Snake Island soldiers. Advertisement. What a terrible cohesion, a country is not a pirate group. No wonder it survived this marine siege. Every 9 Snake Island warrior, holding an arrow in his hand, with the armament hockey wrapped around it, of course it is impossible to escape his eyes. This made Shanks sigh in his heart. As expected of 9 Snake Island, no pirate group has this kind of fighting power. No wonder Marine is so jealous of it. Hockey's comprehension is very difficult, it requires talent, perseverance, and methods. Even if it's the same pirate group, it's hard to be single-minded, besides, who doesn't want to keep a hand, and this talent is quite painful. It's an island, and everyone will be armed with hockey. Looking up at DE 2.2 sitting in the middle with a flat face, Shanks' pupils shrank again. If we say that the DE he met before is not inferior to him, but now his courage has far surpassed him. He has only seen one person, and that is his former captain, Roger. Momentum is invisible, colorless, tasteless, and cannot be touched. It is an invisible aura, which is related to the state of mind. As long as you sit there, you are the focus of everyone, which is an invisible spirit. Courage can be born, but also can be acquired the day after tomorrow. 2 words came to Shanks' mind. Evildoer. It's growing so fast, no wonder Marine has the means to freely enter and exit the Com Belt, so he can't wait to send out such a big force to crusade. If such a person grows up, the future is unpredictable. Advertisement. 99. Strange ability, one more search for flowers. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 9 Snake Island, above the banquet. Shanks, why are you here? Let's have a banquet together. DE waved to Shanks and smiled faintly. There was no deliberate pressure, hockey bumping, or questioning, just sitting there, beckoning calmly, smiling slightly, like an old friend whom I haven't seen for a long time, saying hello. Such and such, but people feel the invisible pressure. Shanks knew that his own spirit was suppressed, and it was a kind of collision of spirit in itself. Every strong person likes this. Shanks was not surprised, but this time he miscalculated. His courage was as if he encountered a wall. No, he encountered the sea, and he disappeared without a sound. Even DE didn't do anything intentionally, just such a plain greeting, and an invisible aura made Shanks feel a little shorter. This is boldness, or in layman's terms, aura. Of course, even if he is suppressed, it doesn't matter to him. Shanks, he is Shanks, 4 Emperors Shanks. Ha 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 ha. I didn't hear that you were in trouble, so I hurried over to repay the favor, but unfortunately, you solved it yourself before it arrived, and it cost me a waste of time. This time you have to treat me well. Mr. Shanks with one step, he stepped towards the square and said with a big grin. Ben Beckman hurriedly followed. He didn't know why, and suddenly felt a little cautious. Obviously all the soldiers of Jew Snake Island had already taken back their weapons. Hearing Shanks' words, many Snake Island soldiers raised wine to show their friendship. Of course, enough wine and barbecue. Come and move stools for Shanks and his friends. DE laughed dumbfounded, and then remembered that when he met Shanks last time, he said that Roger owed 9 Snakes Island he came to repay a favor. Even though he knew that the opponent was Marine, he still came here without hesitation. He is indeed a bold and unrestrained person. Just like the battle on the top in the previous life, that courage made many people fall in love with this pirate. Advertisement. Ha ha ha, cheer up, little ones, the banquet has begun. Shanks laughed even more happily, because DE not only said it to him, but also to his partners. This kind of meaning is completely different. In Shanks' mind, his partner is his family, and it's okay to disrespect him, but he will never allow disrespect to his family. And DE, who gave his family enough respect, also gave him enough respect. That's something no one else can do, including Whitebeard. This invisibly changed Shanks' impression of DE, and even if it wasn't for the favor owed by the captain, he still felt that it was worth coming here this time. After a few glasses of wine, the members of the Shanks Pirates, who were originally a little stiff, also relaxed. They liked the atmosphere of Snake Island. Pirates. Their best form of entertainment is the banquet, and their favorite is also the banquet. Soon, everyone except Shanks had to go to the women of Hydra. What is the most popular island of 9 snakes? Of course it is a woman, singing and dancing, barbecue, drinks, enough. Added a touch of scenery to the banquet on Jew Snake Island again, and added a lot of happy scenes. Hawkeye and Enel drank again, and when they knew they were friends rather than enemies, they didn't care anymore. Many members of the Shanks Pirates found them one after another. The strong are respected and respected by others. Eye-catching. The banquet lasted all day and all night, cheering heartily. Advertisement. ****. Naval Headquarters, in the Marine Marshal's office. Garp's broken arm and Sengoku's broken leg have been reattached, and the two are wrapped in bandages like two huge mummies, with only a pair of eyes exposed. The two stood before Marshal Marine's empty desk, ashamed faces. Kong Kong has a mohawk head shape and an M-shaped beard on the chin. He is wearing a Marine Standard Justice coat, but he is wearing casual clothes underneath, showing an unusually strong body. He is holding his chin with his hand and looking serious, pensive. After pondering for a while, he looked up at the two of them and said, "That is to say, at the last moment, the two of you made a deal with Yi." "Yes, Marshal." Sengoku nodded. "The kid's ability is really so weird. Can he be resurrected? Are you sure it's demon fruit power?" Sora looked confused. "Resurrection? Doesn't it mean that you can't be killed? What a weird ability. Isn't he playing tricks? How can he play with this? It's okay if there are limited abilities, like demon fruit power, the sea stone, these are all nemesis." Quote. 589, 590,591. From the side came the low-pitched murmurs that couldn't stop. Like mosquitoes, let Kong's face twitch violently, turned his head unceremoniously and roared. "Damn Garp. He is talking about important things now thing. Put my donuts down for me, you're almost done with my stock." Quote. Almost. Break. Record. Garp, with his mouth full of donuts, said vaguely, still holding his hand. One kept stuffing the donuts in his mouth, with no intention of stopping at all. His eyelids twitched wildly, eating his donuts and drinking the tea he had saved with great difficulty. Advertisement. This damn bastard, every time he comes to his office, he eats his own snacks. The stomach is like a bottomless pit, and it is also record-breaking. Seeing the donuts that were consumed so quickly, Sora couldn't bear it any longer, and frantically stuffed donuts into his own mouth. It was his own, it was better to eat it by himself than this guy finished it. Seeing empty hands, Garp also became anxious and ate even faster. Sengoku on the side stroked his forehead and raised his head, looking up at the sky. "Can we still have a good chat? Can you still have fun? Shouldn't we talk about important things now? How could it be zero? Can you be more serious? It is really exhausting to work with such a marshal and colleagues. I want to retire early." No, he is a quasi-marshal now, and he has to become a marshal in the future. Thinking of the days to come, Garp is in his office, grabbing his donuts and tea. Sengoku's eyelids twitched wildly, looking at the sky. "I'm so desperate." Advertisement. 100. Jindy sets sail. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This day, Jindy set sail from Nine Snake Island. Captain Yi, crew, Black Rose, Enel, Boa Hancock, Kuina, Bess, Triss. Under the Golden Emperor, Yi's pet Black Arrow made its way in the sea. The ferocious aura of the blood of the ancient warcraft made the Sea Kings of Calm Belt dare not approach at all. At this time, Heijian's body had grown to an exaggerated 40 meters, with snake scales emitting black light all over his body, as hard as black iron, and under the sea, he looked like a huge black shadow of a monster. The Jindy, which has no canvas, is sailing at an extremely fast speed on the calm belt, where there is no wind. Yi was sitting in the cabin, 277, and there were two boxes in front of him. The box was open to reveal two banana shapes, but the top was covered with red and black lines, Zone Devil Fruit. This is an apology gift from Monkey D. Dragon, leader of the Revolutionary Army, to send Shanks away, because Dragon himself came to Nine Snakes Island to form an alliance with Yi, but when Marine attacked, they had no one to help, and they knew that Yi needed Devil Fruit. This person sent Zone Devil Fruit for free to keep the alliance. System. Absorb it. Yi said lightly with a sneer on the corner of his mouth. Okay. Host. The Devil Fruit in the two boxes disappeared instantly, turning into nothing. The conversion was successful. Currently, Host has a total of 16 upgraded times. Advertisement. There is no permanent cooperation in the world, but there are permanent interests. Yi knew that because of his victory, Long once again threw out an olive branch to maintain the alliance. If he failed, how could Long appear in person? Strength is everything, it is the link of everything. The Jindy drove at high speed on the sea for 3 days, except for encountering some pirates who saw the Jindy and saw money. Except for Enel being bombarded with the electromagnetic cannon conceived by Yi, there is no bright spot. Sailing is not so exciting, and it is very boring in many cases, so the pirates' banquet is the theme of their life. No, I ran into a pirate group again today. Little ones, grab this gold-made pirate group, and we'll send it off. Yes, Captain. Yi and the others could hear the shouts of many pirates clearly. Without Yi opening his mouth, Enel, who was controlling the Jindy, saw the blue lightning surge on his body, and in a strangely shaped cannon barrel at the bow, the blue current quickly gathered into a ball of lightning, which became brighter and brighter. In fact, this is not a real electromagnetic gun. After all, DE does not have the knowledge reserve, but Enel is a fruit of thunder. It can be researched with some principles, and many parts can be omitted. Using 1 million volts of lightning, it can exert an attack power of tens of millions of volts, which already shocked Enel, and Enel's brain was 30% developed by DE, and he already had a mechanical talent. He is even more of a ghost right now. With the research on the electromagnetic gun, coupled with his very trouble-free lightning ability, it is still possible to develop a prototype electromagnetic gun by himself. Advertisement. Boom. A ball of light composed purely of lightning blasted out violently, carrying the power of destroying heaven and earth. Just when Enel thought that, like every time, he would instantly destroy all the pirates of the opponent. A white light suddenly shot out from the opposite pirate ship, hitting the ball of light with terrifying power. A strange scene happened. The ball of light that was advancing at high speed unexpectedly slowed down. That's right. Visible to the naked eye has slowed down, and it is still moving forward, but I don't know how much better than before. It's like a lens has been slowed down dozens of times or hundreds of times in an instant. Enel was stunned for a moment. DE couldn't help being surprised. The captain is amazing. Ha ha ha, captain is invincible. Whoa, hit, advertisement. The pirate group on the opposite side let out proud cheers and noises. Thunder flashed, and Enel appeared on the deck, looking at the light ball slowly moving in the sky in surprise. The pirate group on the opposite side quickly avoided, and after about 30 seconds, the light ball regained its speed and directly bombarded the sea. In an instant, a deep pit with a width of tens of meters and a depth of several tens of meters appeared. In the deep pit, the lightning turned into thunder snakes composed of electric currents, which flowed domineeringly, electrolyzed the seawater, produced oxygen and hydrogen, and spread out from time to time. The sound of the explosion prevented the seawater from entering the deep pit. The pirates who were still cheering suddenly seemed to have their throats pinched, stunned, panting, and watched this scene in horror. At this time, they knew what kind of attack they had escaped. That terrifying ball of light, like hitting Four's pirate ship, could wipe them out in an instant. Long live the captain. The captain is amazing. Captain. After a few seconds of silence, louder cheers broke out again. On the deck of the Jindy, Enel's face turned black, and the cheers were hitting him in the face. With a flash of thunder, the body directly flashed to the side of the electromagnetic gun, and the electricity in the eyes flickered. Looking at the cheering pirates on the opposite side, the glow flickered. P.S. I still have a high fever today, which affects everyone's reading. I am very sorry. This book has 100 chapters, and I will work hard. Advertisement.